What is going on? Man, I didn't have any time, Blake, to get this, to be able to do this thing. Rodolfo, you are in the chat. Hold on, Rodolfo. Everybody, hold on. I got to retweet this out to my followers. Give me 1 second. Rodolfo, it's good to see you. John, you're there. Jose, you're there as well. Hold on 1 second. Let me just retweet this. I feel like that wasn't a 30-second countdown. Like, I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't feel like that was a 30-second countdown. And now we're just going to do bad TV for a little bit. Now we're done. Now it is. What is going on, everybody? Party people in the house. It is Wednesday night. If it is Wednesday night, you already know what time it is. You already know what time it is. It is time for your Drunk Uncle Sports Podcast, and I am your host, your drunk uncle, Anwar Richardson. Super excited to be here. Listen, you know what I always tell you? If you had a bad week, you're about to have a better one. And if you're having a good week, it's about to be even better than it was as we go to the other side and we get to the weekend. I hope everyone's having a fantastic week. We're going to make it good, even if you're not. I have so much to tell you guys. Y'all are not going to believe what I'm about to tell you. But do me a favor. Just as you guys are starting to come in, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It means something to some sort of algorithm or something to that effect. So please do that. Would love to do that. Oh, by the way, this one is brought to you by my main man, Eric Sells Homes, DFW. He is the sponsor of the Drunk Uncle Sports Podcast, and he's also a good friend, but he's also the main man that if you need a home in the DFW area, or you need to sell your house in the DFW area. If you was in Austin, you're like, man, I'm so tired of these damn oak trees that I got to get out of here every single week when we have a freeze. Then do yourself a favor, contact my man from Eric Sells Homes, DFW. He will hook it up. No commission, is I think what he said. No, he didn't say that. But he will definitely take care of you. He'll travel now. What I always tell you, he'll travel, but you can't be selling like a little like $70,000 home in Killeen. Not that your home is little for being $77,000, but you know what I mean. He's trying to go for the big money. So if you need a home, DFW area, try to sell your home in the DFW area, hit my main man up, Eric Torres. You see the website up there. Do your thing and make sure you take care of him because he's always taking care of us. I don't know if we're going to have Eric on the show tonight. I may not have Eric on the show. Tom G is in transition. So it's probably going to be a lot of just drunk unk tonight. I'm probably going to keep this one a little concise. I've got to tell you guys something. I'm literally, you guys do not, first of all, you don't want to miss the show tonight. I've got a lot to discuss. I've got a lot of things that we're going to get into. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. I am absolutely looking forward to the show, and I'm looking forward to the conversation. Brandon, I see your super chat already. I know you're already getting in here right now. DA ain't got nothing on us. So recruiting shouldn't mess with us. That's just my guess. What the F do you know? Brandon, I appreciate it. Brandon, we've got to discuss this conversation. We've got to discuss this topic. It is important and I will make sure we get into it because there'll be much to discuss. Okay. Let's talk about something. I want to tell you guys something. I didn't tell you guys, and I didn't put it out there for the public beforehand, but I'm going to tell you guys afterwards. And now I'll tell you something. Unc did something tonight. Unc did something you guys are going to be shocked by. Okay, are you ready? I'm serious. Like, is everyone ready for what Unc is going to tell you? It's totally off topic. Totally off topic for a second. Oh, by the way, make sure you have a drink in the cup. By the way, if you ask yourself, why is it called your Drunk Uncle Sports Podcast? It's real simple. The thought concept for if this is the first time is that look, I view this as our family. This is our family get together once a week. This is what we do. And I started thinking about all the members of the family. When I think about myself, I think of myself as your drunk uncle. I'm the person that's going to be here to entertain you, to be the person that's going to make you laugh, but also at the end of the day, I want to be the person that you learn something from, and that you enjoy yourself and walk away saying, that was good and that was worth it. And that's what your drunk uncle does. He always does something funny. You always think like, man, but every once in a while, drunk uncle spits some knowledge. You're like, dang, I learned something new from drunk uncle. Okay, are you guys ready? Are you guys? South Text Man is ready. I hope everybody else is ready. Are y'all ready for this? Okay, Blake, are you there? Blake, are you there? I want to witness for this one. Come on in, Blake. Come on in.
All right.
Unc was on a dating show tonight.
I don't even know what to think about that. I'm gonna have
was on a dating show on social media tonight. Before I came on, from 7 to about 8:30, 8:40, 8:45, Unc was actually on a dating show. Yeah,
social media dating show. I can't wait to hear about this.
I am telling you, I spilled the beans. I really got into like all of it. Only person I told about this was Catch. And I got interviewed by a person whose job it was to put good men out there in front on the forefront.
Tell me they'd see the show.
And then those women, if they like you enough, they get to contact you and everything like that. So the name of the show, it's called, if you look, it's called Jack Daniels TV. His name is Jack Daniels. He's got like 60 to 70,000 followers on it. Yes. So I didn't tell anybody beforehand, because I didn't want OU fans and A&M fans to bomb it and totally just make it go off the rails. So I was able to get on there, and I came on, and I lost my internet, of course, because, of course, I'm going to lose my internet. And I was able to do that. And at the end of the day, the majority of women said, I'm a good man. And so they didn't put out your information for the women to contact you. And I got to say, my DMs are popping right now. I don't have a chance to get into it right now. I don't have a chance. I'm going to be able to kind of go through this and be able to go through it. But yes, I wanted to tell you guys in transparency, that happened. When I tell you, Blake, that Unc was on a dating show tonight, what is going through your head? And there were a lot of people, by the way.
For the first time just now, and I don't even know what to think other than I need to go after the show. I'm going to go find that link and watch immediately. Is it posted
like
already?
An hour and a half. You're not going to watch the whole thing.
No. But I'm going to zoom through and find your parts for sure.
No, I was on for the majority. He only did an intro for 10 minutes and then, or 12 minutes. And then I was on the show for like the rest of like the hour in like 30 or so.
And this was live on their channel.
And then it was on Restream, so it went on all the platforms like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Like it's been on all those platforms. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch this immediately after the show.
Yeah. I had so much fun. You know what's amazing though? When you are just yourself and you're transparent, this is what I believe in life. Like, as long as you are who you are, it's someone for you. It's like I said on the show, it's like the Tim Tebow effect, right? Tim Tebow didn't need 32 teams to fall in love with him. He only needed one. And it only took was 31 teams were like, one team was like, great. And he was a first round pick. So now he didn't last. But you get what I'm saying, get my point. So I had a lot of fun. I was excited to finally share that with someone.
And especially, you're a guy that's used to being on camera too, so I feel like you probably killed it, right? Am I right in saying that?
I'm not going to say that, but
I mean, those DMs are full though, aren't they?
I mean, there's a lot of notifications. I ain't gonna lie right now. There's a lot of it keeps going, but there's a lot of notifications. I probably let me see.
That sounds like a win, my man.
Yeah, I gotta figure out how to find the stuff that when you don't whatever, like when you're hitting stuff for like not friends because it keeps popping, it keeps popping, it keeps popping. And I can figure out how to figure it out. So, but there is that. But yeah, it was. Here's the thing. So it wasn't like I signed up to be on the show. What happened was, uh, my friend nominated me. She
Oh,
nominated me to be on the show, and she told them everything about me. And then the host was like, I want to get this guy on the show. So that's actually
yeah.
how I ended up on the show. It wasn't like anything that I actually filled out. But that's how I got on. So
That feels even better, I think, to be chosen. Like they saw your profile, was like, oh yeah, we need this guy on the show. He's gonna be awesome. Like,
yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. So I just got to do that. Okay, I know. Stop it, Chris Wright. Don't be an ass tonight. He said, looking for the next ex Mrs. Richardson. I'm going to get it right one time, Chris. One time in my life. I only got to get it right once. And when I do, I'm gonna be like the Cleveland Browns of this, like selecting quarterbacks, right? Just one quarterback after another, after another, after another, after another. But damn it, one day, well, I don't want to get Deshaun Watson because that's
Deshaun Watson. That's what I was thinking. I don't know.
yeah, I love the
Deshaun
analogy.
Watson.
I love the analogy until it ended with Deshaun Watson.
You need to go find your Patrick Mahomes. That's what you need.
Yeah. There you go. That sounded like a lot better because I was like, "Ooh, massage." Like, So, so anyway, all right. I wanted to share that, and just be there. So yes, Blake, you can go check that out, and it just be see what Uncle been doing. It was hilarious. I loved it though. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. You know what I did love? I'm gonna be honest with you. If you guys go do check it out, I just love the transparency of it. So that part was really, really cool. And then I need to eventually figure out how to check DMs when I receive them from people that I don't follow. So there is kind of that. Oh, there's a lot of requests to follow. So there's that. So how's everyone doing on a Wednesday night? A lot of things, a lot of little topics that I want to discuss, a lot of little things that I definitely want to get into. Hope everyone's doing well, doing good. Hope you guys are having a fantastic week. Again, super happy to talk to you guys as always. So let's start with some of the news of this week. Okay. I'll get to Arch in a second. Let's talk about Warren Roberson, the TCU commit that obviously ends up committing to Texas, on what was it, Tuesday or so of this week. All right, let me say a couple of things. Let Unc say a couple of things. And I understand that with my platform, what I have, and I kind of learned this a little bit with the Ruben Owens situation from before. Like I said some things, and I think Ruben Owens got a little bit upset with me and didn't like the things I was saying because when Ruben Owens committed to Louisville, as you guys remember, I got on the show and I laughed. I'm not gonna lie. I got on the show and I laughed, and I was like, he's not gonna go to Louisville. I'm not believing this. I'm like, it's not going to happen. And I literally just laughed out loud. Like, literally, that's what happened. And Ruben Owens got really offended by that. And apparently, Ruben Owens, people told me about it. I still wasn't able to tweet, but he did. I saw a little bit, but Ruben, he like tweeted at me. And of course, catch two. And he was like, oh, this is what you're supposed to do. You're laughing at someone, it's commitment. And then, of course, like Ruben Owens goes out and gets to like the Louisville area code tattooed on him. And so he's like doubling down on this thing. And I was like, all right, well, maybe, yeah, I guess. And then Ruben Owens doesn't go to Louisville. But he doesn't tweet at me to say, all right, Unc, you was right. You know what I'm saying? Like, because, the thing about young people that young people don't understand, young people think that we as old people were born old. Like, that's exactly what they think. They think I was born at this age and I was never their age. That's the thing. Like, if you're a parent, you totally understand what I'm saying right now. Your kids don't think that you were ever 16 years old, 17 years old, 18 years old, 20 years old. They see you and they think you were born at like 42. They think you were born at 45. They just think they see you as old. So when I called out the Ruben Owens thing, and Ruben got mad at me, and Ruben tweeted at me, And he was like, I don't like what you said, but I've been around the block. I understood, rumor. You ain't gonna go to nobody's Louisville. You ain't go. You are not going to Louisville at the end of the day. I know you got caught up in the moment and all that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, you ain't going. And you did it. And you now probably got enough in your NIL deal to get a cover-up tattoo of that Louisville situation. Brings me to Warren Roberson. I'm going to be a little bit more careful about what I say, a little bit more gentle about what I say about Warren. I'm going to say this. I wish the young man nothing but luck. I hope he does fantastic. I hope he's very successful at the University of Texas. Okay, let me start by saying that. Just hoping y'all, but when this gets communicated back to the young man or his family members, I hope he is very successful. I'm just going to tell you this. I always just have just a little bit hesitation when it comes to kids who drag out the recruiting process, decommit from a school. I'm always just a little like, when things get tough at the program that you choose, are you going to stick it out? Or you're always going to think to yourself, I had all these other options, and then should I have done this, right? You think back to like a Brew McCoy. Right? Brew McCoy was a guy that we thought to ourselves, okay, he was committed to USC, and then all of a sudden he goes to Texas. You're like, okay, well, cool. Now he's at Texas, and then the moment some things go wrong, then he was back at USC, right? You just, and then he's been, to Tennessee and stuff like that. Like we've seen that happen. So what I'm hoping when it comes to Roberson, I'm hoping that this is his forever home. I'm hoping that he's a UT guy. And I'm hoping that the moment that things go wrong, because things are going wrong, things are going to happen. That's just what's going to be. I'm just hoping all works out. He stays with it. All is good. I'm old. And let me preface this by saying I am old. I'm happy that he committed to Texas. Texas needs the bodies. I'm super happy for him. Didn't love the way it happened. Not going. I didn't. At the end of the day, TCU, unless they really did something wrong with you, like he shows up, he has the jacket on, takes it off the tech. I'm about the Texas thing. I just was like, oh man, you didn't have to clown TCU like that, like. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was the only thing. And again, I will admit, maybe I'm just older. And maybe just as an older person, it's hard for me. Like, I'm not on TikTok. I'm not trying to learn no new dances. Like, I will 100% admit it's potential that I'm just old and out of touch. And it's possible. I listen to my own music. I watch my own movies. Like, I'm in my own little world. I got to say, I didn't love the commitment ceremony. I love the support that he had. I love the family that was around him. I love everyone, and I love the energy of it. So when it comes to Roberson, I just am just hopeful that this thing works out. He has a fantastic time at Texas. He goes and gets drafted, everything like that. But the things I say are just, again, older person as a parent, certain things about it I didn't love. But look, at the end of the day, if he gets here, balls out, who the hell cares? That's just old Unc talking about it, and not me criticizing, just a little bit of a critique as relates to that. But look, at the end of the day, you need the bodies, you need those kind of, guys, you need those dogs. Roberson kind of fits the bill. Roberson fits the bill of the guy that they're looking for, recruiting, all like the things that they wanted. Texas kept the spot open for them. I heard about, I want to say it was not too far after signing day, a couple of weeks after signing day, and then not too long ago that someone had told me that Roberson was already in. That was a kind of a done deal. But what? I'll be honest with you. First of all, I don't cover recruiting, so that's really not my wheelhouse. But the second thing is, I just am. Hold on, let me retweet the thing that Blake put out. But the second thing, as it relates to the recruiting thing, like I just feel like kids are so inconsistent. Like I feel like the moment The moment you start saying like, oh, damn, like this kid's going to do something 100%, it just don't happen. So I don't really go in those things. I don't do no crystal balls, nothing like that. I just watch it and cover it. And like I watch it, I absorb it, but I just try not to get too far into it. So what I'm going to say, last thing I'm going to say about Robeson, I'm hoping he ends up being successful here at the University of Texas. And then when y'all go back, because I know what's going to happen. I know I've done this long enough. I know what's going to happen. Someone's going to take a small portion of this. They're going to go back to somebody in the Robeson family, and they're going to be like, oh, man, Unc was talking about you. He was talking all that smack. He was talking about Robeson was so disrespectful, and then he was blah, blah, blah. He shouldn't be at UT. Like, I know how that thing is like the telephone game. I know what I'm saying is not going to be represented in the right way. So I'm just saying it for once. So when someone contacts me, I'm gonna let them know it's not what I said. I'm just gonna say, didn't love the way he committed. Look, I do have my questions about kids who kind of indecisive, because they seem to be the first kids in the portal. But I absolutely support this young man, and I hope everything works out for him. So props to you, William Robeson. Welcome to the Longhorn family. And what's up? This is your drunk uncle. You got me for the next 3 to 4 years. And hopefully I got nothing but great things to say about how you play and how you ball out. And hey, how you lead Texas to Big 12 or SEC championship, depending on when it happens. Okay, so there was another thing that happened this week that was somewhat noteworthy for us to discuss. There's a little people in a little bit of an uproar about this. And it's always fascinating when people start using the word snubbed. I used to be a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. And as a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter, for those you don't know, the process is very, very extensive. It's almost a year-long process. Actually, it is a year-long process. For those of you unfamiliar with it, okay? So I say sometime in the off season, as a Hall of Fame voter, I would receive like a huge book of all the candidates, not the finalists. I'm talking about every single candidate that was available, whether it would be the modern era or it would be like the older, the postmodern era, right? And you would have to sort through this, and it takes you months to literally read through all these things. And then for me, like try to look videos and research and this and that, and try to come up with who do you feel are people that are worthy to be in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And then once you kind of get to that point, you keep voting, you vote down to several votes until you vote down, until you finally get to your candidates, right? And then the week of the Super Bowl, really what would happen would be that Saturday, they would put you in a room and there would be a representative. So let's say there was, Tony Gonzalez or something. So there would be an Atlanta media member who that was their job, to do a presentation to convince you why that person belonged in the Hall of Fame. And we're all sitting in the room. It's only the Hall of Fame voters. So it's like one voter from each city, and then some at-large people, right? So that's kind of they've changed it a little bit more to be a little bit more inclusive. But back when I did it, that's what it was like. So it would be the people that was viewed as like the top and who covered the sport, and those people would be there. And then eventually, we'd have our arguments, we'd have our back and forth, we have our questionings, like all that kind of you pepper the person who's presenting, right? That you especially if you're unsure about certain things, and guys who are like you're on the bubble. And then eventually we come to the conclusion that there's enough votes and you figure out who gets in the Hall of Fame. And inevitably there be the word snubbed. And it always be, oh, you know what? This guy got snubbed. This guy got snubbed. This guy got snubbed, right? And the question always was to me, and the question I was always go back with someone is, okay, if you say that person got snubbed, that's great. So who in the Hall of Fame doesn't deserve to be there? That's always my question. Like, okay, cool. You think someone's got snubbed? You say someone's got snubbed from an all-star vote, right? Okay, who's an all-star doesn't deserve to be there? Because then we don't ask that question enough in sports. And so this is what happens this time of year. NFL scouting combines come around, and you always have the question of who got snubbed. And right now, we have Longhorn fans talking about the guys who got in and the person who got snubbed. So let's talk about the people who got in. Bijan Robinson, who we obviously expect to be in the scouting combine. Roshan Johnson, you obviously expect him to be in there. We will see if he's able to participate. But if his bone in the hand, the broken bone in his hand is good enough, he'll be able to participate. DeMarvion Overshown, no surprise there. Moro Jomo, props to him. Keandre Coburn, props to him. Like, very happy for Moro and Keandre. I'm hoping you guys are as well, because think about like last season when we went into it and we were questioning, like, hey, who the hell are the top defensive linemen that are here? Does Texas have anybody that's even worthy of being a top defensive lineman? And then at the end of the day, we got two guys from the defensive line at the combine. That's not a guarantee or draft position, so we're clear, okay? But what it does show is that these guys are thought of highly enough that they will be one of two things. They will either be drafted, or they will be somebody or somebodies that when the draft is over, they will be one of the first people who are signed as undrafted free agents. That's what we know what will happen at the very least. And I said that for Moro and Keandre, and we'll see what happens with Moro. Plus, probably more Moro at this moment than Keandre. And I say this as a person who was a free Moro Jomo person, right? You guys know, I was like, man, free Moro, like that guy needs to talk. One of the people who did not get invited was Deshaun Jameson, who, maybe people said he was a standout in the Shrine Bowl, but he's not going to go there. Of course, Anthony Cook doesn't get invited as well, but I think a lot of people were just surprised about the Deshaun Jameson thing. The thing about Deshaun Jameson, the height's always going to be a question. Is he around 5'9" or so? It's kind of hard as a DB. One person told me on Orangebloods, they're like, well, he could get drafted and have a long career as a return person. The only thing I would say is, like, you got to be Devin Hester to do that. Like, do you realize how good you have to be to own a roster spot just as a returner person? Like, you have to be someone that's just moves the needle, is just almost generational in some ways. So I don't know what's going to happen with Deshaun Jameson. He'll have obviously opportunity at the pro day to do. I think he'll get signed as an undrafted free agent because of what he's able to do as a special teams member. I don't know what the future holds from him. He'll be on an NFL roster, whether he's an absolute late pick or undrafted free agent. I think the good part, though, I think if you're a Texas fan, and most of you guys are, except for those who are haters, and we know haters are out here as well, so that's okay. Haters pay the bills. At least going into this year, there's going to be Texas players drafted. Like, at least you're not going to be sitting there for like 3 days like, man, this is some bull crap. Like, at least there are going to be guys drafted. At least Texas is not going to be left out of this party. At least that some of these guys have grown and developed into draft picks. And look, whoever you want to get, if you want to give Steve Sarkisian and his staff, credit, and I think they probably do deserve a lot of credit for developing these guys into draft picks. Like, absolutely, those guys deserve that. And then that's a recruiting tool that will help Texas going forward. So, we'll see what happens as far as the NFL scouting combine is concerned. But just know that even though Deshaun may not get there, there's certain guys I think will be very late to undrafted, okay, but signed. All right, let's have one more fun conversation before we get into the crux of what we're going to talk about. And I say fun, I can't imagine living and growing up in, not living, but growing up in today's social media. And I could not imagine what it would be like to grow up with a name that everyone knows that's so recognizable. Whether you are one of Michael Jordan's kids, and of course you date Scottie Pippen's ex, I guess, or you have your Idris Elba's child, right? Who's trying to do certain things in Hollywood, right? We can go through the lineage of people who had famous parents, and then we're trying to go about and living their life. I couldn't imagine what it's like to grow up with the name Manning. Think about that. Manning. You just can't sign off on anything and just no one know who you are. Everywhere you go, everything you do, everyone knows exactly who you are. And Arch Manning is at a situation and at a point where I'm starting to wonder, is it too much? Are people really doing the most as relates to this young man? Are you not letting him breathe? Are you not just letting him be who he is, be a college student, and just enjoy life and make the mistakes that a lot of kids make? Because I feel like we're getting to the point where if you're Arch, you got to be thinking, man, every time I go outside the house, someone's got something to say. So it started when Arch got here. And not too long after Arch got here, he lost his student ID. That happened. Somehow, some way, Arch Manning lost his student ID. Okay. I don't know why that became a big thing, but it became a big thing. And then there became this thing that went around that said he lost his student ID a second time. I looked into that, found out that actually wasn't true. He actually had only lost it once. He actually hadn't lost it 2 times. But there was this belief that, oh my gosh, Arch Manning, he lost his damn thing 2 times. Like, what is wrong with this kid? But the second time was actually just a fake thing. And now we're seeing this week, Arch Manning, he's riding a scooter, and there's a judgment there. And I just saying to myself, can the young man just live? Can the young man breathe? Can a young man just leave his dorm and just be a normal college kid? Does everything he does, says or does, but mostly just does that have to be something that it becomes a big thing? Did it really need to be a quote unquote paparazzi moment of taking a picture of Arch on the scooter who's riding it like every other kid? Every other kid on campus is doing it. Is it dangerous? Yes. Would you do it at his age? Absolutely. That's what young people do. They do certain things that are adventurous, that are risky, like the campus is big. All kids do that. And yet there's got to be a question of, oh my God, what's Arch doing? He's riding a scooter. What's the next thing going to do? Oh my gosh, what's he eating? Is that soup hot enough? You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, Arch went to Rudy's. He didn't go to Taco Deli. Like, where does it end? I want Arch Manning, and maybe it's impossible, but what I would love for Arch is that he just is able to be a kid, a young person on campus without all this crazy spotlight. When Arch got here, there was talk. I want to be careful about what I say. There was talk that Arch Manning was picking up the playbook so great. He's only been on campus for a few weeks, right? Arch Manning is doing such a phenomenal job in the playbook and this and that. And I asked around and like, dude, they haven't even done any playbook stuff. They're doing like light workouts. But already, and it's almost like, man, don't build him up. to that degree where we're putting him on this like pedestal idol thing, and then all of a sudden he doesn't live up to all our expectations. Like, oh my gosh, like, is, you know what we do in society, we build people up to knock them down. Like, to me, if I could, because I'm kind of like, I don't really get into all the art stuff, only because he's, at the end of the day, yeah, he's a Manning, but he's still 18 years old. He still should be a senior in high school right now. He still should be on his basketball team. And then with, start thinking about prom and all these kind of things. All I'm going to say, what I'm going to implore, and I say this as a father, who of course doesn't have a famous last name. Hey, ain't no famous last Richardsons, right? Who was the Richardson that played, I think, for the Knicks or something like that? I forget what his name was, but there ain't not a lot of famous Richardsons. I can't say that. But just as a father, just as a person, I would just say, man, let that kid be a kid. That's all I want to say. Let the kid be a kid. Let him enjoy himself. Let him live his best life. And I think if we do that, I think that will be amazing for him. I just want to throw that out there. Okay. I want to talk about the subject at hand, though. I hope everyone's got a drink in a cup. I hope everyone's doing well. It's not going to be a long show. I know we've done hour and a half shows, 2-hour shows. We're not doing that tonight. Okay. I'm just going to pre-warn you. This will not, you don't have to worry about this being like, go ahead and pack a lunch. We're not going to, or I guess a dinner at this point. We're not going to do that long. I want to be a little bit more concise with you guys tonight, because I want to try something different. So, Blake, if you have it, I asked you to screenshot it. If you do have it, you put that thing on the screen. So I thought this was worthy for us talking about as a main topic this evening. Deion Sanders puts out this tweet on February the 6th, which of course is about 2 days ago. So I guess it was a Monday. And it goes, all dogs in Texas, where art thou? I guess he went biblical there. We need about 7 of y'all that has work ethic, confidence, and winner's attitude. I can care less about how many stars you have. I want game changers. I ain't hard to find. You better ask somebody. Let's go, baby. Hashtag Coach Prime at CU Buffs Football. And as you can see, by the way, but put that back up, Blake. 1 million views on that tweet. There's a 4,300 likes, but 1 million views on that tweet. Thank you, Blake, which means that there was a lot of people looking. And interesting that Prime has got a lot of attention now. Prime has got a lot of people, a lot of eyes that are looking at him. But the thing that caught my attention was when he started talking about the state of Texas. Because Deion's been able to recruit okay in the state of Florida. But when he starts talking about coming into the state of Texas, and we know Deion was able to grab the #1 recruit in the nation who happened to be out of Florida, I started asking around, like, are y'all worried? Because that's the thing. Like, what does Deion always talk about? We coming, right? We coming. And I had to start asking around and inquiring, are y'all worried at all? Is this kind of a thing that something people in the state of Texas need to be worried about? People nationwide that need to be worried about? Is Colorado going to be the next big thing? Is he a threat? That's what I had to ask. That's what I had to inquire about. I wanted to see. Because here's the thing about Deion. He and I have a lot of mutual acquaintances. I've only met Deion in person, I believe it was 2 times. Deion is very good at social media. Deion is very, very good at self-promotion. We're talking about him. Deion was able to make Jackson State into a household name within college football, which, let's just be honest, you had to be probably a diehard fan to know much about Jackson State. If we're keeping it in a buck, if we're keeping it in a real, no disrespect to anyone at Jackson State, but That's what happened. So I had to start making some inquiries. I wanted to start making some inquiries to folks, especially whether it was Texas throughout the world and in the nation, rather, not the world but the nation. And I started asking, okay, let me ask you guys what your thoughts are as relates to Deion. I'm gonna go Antonio. Let me put his stuff up here in the super chat. Antonio, I'm gonna make sure I get right to you. Antonio says, I'm starting to dislike Prime. I live in Atlanta and did the same thing to Georgia. Appreciate your armor. Love the Drunk Uncle shows. Hook 'em. Thank you, Antonio. It's one of my cousins' name, dog. We might be related. We might be kinfolk. We're gonna go ahead and see where our folks are from, but I appreciate it. And Tony, you bring up a really good point. Is really worth for us talking about, because Deion, I'll be honest with you, it's a person that knows he's an acquired taste. I'll be honest with you, he's an acquired taste. So I started asking. I was like, okay, what do y'all think about this? So I know a lot of you guys are already jumped to the conclusion. So I'll go to the conclusion, but I will tell you the reasons why. Okay, the conclusion from the people I spoke to, the answer is no. No one's worried about Prime. No one is worried about him and his potential impact in the state of Texas. Okay, so let's start. I want to start there and make sure we go there to start off the conversation. Okay. One of the things someone told me something really interesting as relates to the conversation. So they said, the thing that Deion will have to understand that he maybe doesn't is that when you are the main attraction, people want to see and hear from the main attraction. When you have recruiting weekends, there are going to be weekends that the head coach is not on campus. That's just what's going to happen. You'll have people up, you'll invite them up, and the head coach will not be there. And so if it's all about the celebrity and it's all about the one person, it's kind of like going to a concert and the headliner ain't there. And you're like, what the hell did I just come here for? The headliner has to be there. And so you got to understand, one of the things that someone brought up to me, they said, you got to understand that Jackson State ain't really a huge recruiting budget, if they have any recruiting budget. But here, you have to be available. You have to not only be able to go, but have people come to you. And they're coming to see one person. And can that person handle everybody that wants to have a picture with you, chop it up with you, put it on social media for clout, but they really, really ain't trying to go to Colorado? You know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoy the celebrity portion of it, but I'm not quite sure of that. One of the other people said something that was really interesting to me. He said something like, you also got to understand, he has a name, but not every kid has seen him play. They just know the name. And I thought that was really fascinating, because it's like, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of kids that have seen him play. There haven't been a lot of people who know, like, he may be a Hall of Famer, but I mean, you think about the people that we grew up watching, and then you think about this generation. Like, we've used the analogy. I've used the Vince Young thing. Like, when you start thinking about when the national championship was versus today's recruits, like, how old were they? 2 years old, 1 year old, 3 years old, not born, all those kind of things. And so people, like, especially Texas, they prop up VY. And it's like, Vince Young's here. Vince Young's going to be here on your official visit. And they're like, hey, Dad, who's Vince Young? We know Vince Young. They say, hell, I know Tommy Frazier. But that don't mean nothing to today's youth. Kids ain't going to Nebraska because of Tommy Frazier played there any more than they're like, and again, we as older people prop up VY. But at the end of the day, how many young people actually have seen them play? How many of the kids in the 2024 class grew up watching them play? None. This is what it is. We're old. We just are. And so, they said, like, that's going to be a challenge as relates to that. He's bringing in a lot of people in the transfer portal. But one of the things that someone brought up to me, they told me it was really interesting. I thought I found the research on this conversation extremely fascinating because the media, and not maybe I have to include myself because I am a media member. I haven't propped them up, but include myself as a media member, right? Include myself as a media member. There's been people who like they throw the roses. And it's interesting because in the college football circles, they go, one person told me, he said, I thought it was really fascinating. He goes, he said, let me clean it up. Let me remove some of the curse words in for this one. Okay. He said, until Deion is signing 300-pound defensive linemen from the South, he is not a threat. And all right, and I cleaned that up. You can really interpret that how you want to, and I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. Feel free to add a lot of adjectives to it. I'm just going to throw that out there. And he said, until you see it, and then when you start looking at the class, especially if you start looking at like the 2023 class that they just acquired, you have, it looks like, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide receivers. You've got 3 DBs, and you had 2 defensive linemen. One that was 245, one that was 274. When I started doing the math on their signing class, out of the 19 kids that they got in 2023, 10 of them are 180 pounds or less. Think about this. Think about what I just told you. In the 2023 class, they got 10 kids who are 180 pounds or less. That means, I know what you guys are going to do. You guys are going to go right now and start looking this thing up. Go look it up. They've got 2 kids that are over 300 pounds. 2 kids. And not those kids that they got, God bless them, and I'm excited for them, and good luck to them in their career. We were talking about the most highly recruited kids. We're just talking about that. So it was interesting to hear the conversation for folks. And they said to myself, I don't know. 12 of those kids, I think, were around like the 200-pound or so mark. And so, as you guys know, because you guys know I'm a Kyle Flood guy, right? You guys know I'm a Kyle Flood guy. Have I stood on I know Eric Torres is not. I don't understand. I still don't understand. I love Eric though, by the way. That's my dude. Still don't understand his Kyle Flood take. I'm still trying to figure this thing out. But I'm a Kyle Flood guy. And what Kyle Flood has done is he's brought in big bodies. Okay. What Bo Davis has done is bringing in bodies. What we haven't seen Colorado really do, we haven't seen them bring in the big bodies. And you ain't going to win. You're not going to win in Washington with that team going that way. And by the way, I hear what you're saying, JR, as far as the recruiting is concerned. But let me tell you that Colorado gave up 509 offensive yards per game last year. Okay. 245 rushing per game last year. They only averaged 108 rushing yards per game last year. They were last in the Pac-12 in points per game this past season. Gave up 23 sacks, which is fine. They were around 118th in third down conversions this past year. I say it all to say, as you did the research, if you do the research, Colorado is horrible. So I hear what you're saying, but let's not say it's ahead of the curve. Let's understand that this team is bad. In order to get it good, you're going to have to bring in more than just a couple of skinny skill players. Like, you're going to have to start winning in the trenches. You're not going to win games unless you get the dudes in the trenches, and being able to get the nice, cool receivers and the DBs. Like, it sounds okay, but as you guys know, if you're not winning up front, which is the thing we've talked about Texas for years, if you don't win out front, you're not going to win games. And you're not going to overthrow Washington. You're not going to overthrow Utah. You're not going to do that unless you're able to. Like, so it's interesting when I started asking around, like, okay, well, who are the big threats? And could this potentially be a threat? You know, the list of subjects, those were considered to be the threats. This particular program, at where it stands, is not. It's interesting because I don't necessarily think that people want him to fail, but what the consensus that I was getting from folk is that they think everything he did works at Jackson State, but they're not convinced it's going to work in Colorado. That's the consensus I'm getting. The consensus I'm getting from here is that no one's necessarily worried that he's going to get the big fish from Texas. You know, that he'll get some guys, but he won't necessarily get the big fish, not just because it's not just an NIL thing, but the big fish are going to go to where, hey, this is where I'm going to go in order to go pro, not necessarily somewhere else. So the consensus that I received was, not so much of the belief system on that. But everyone feeling really good about where Texas is, where Texas will be going forward. And remember, this was Texas that I think Steve Sarkisian has done a really good job, and his staff has done a really good job of making sure that when it comes to guys in the state, like, hey, they're in with all the top guys, and they're not necessarily letting all the top guys go to Alabamas and Ohio States and Clemson's and Georgia's. You can't keep them all. But the thing that, I wanted to know is, like, okay, Sark has done a good job of making sure all these guys don't leave. Is there another potential threat that's out there that could potentially make it harder for Sark and UT to recruit? The overwhelming answer to that was no. That's it. There it is. This is Drunk Unk. A little bit more concise tonight. A little bit more like to the point tonight. I hope you've enjoyed it this evening. We're going to be back next week. We're going to have Eric on next week. Tom G will be on next week. We're going to have more fun topics. We're going to have a lot to discuss. Super Bowl is this weekend. I know what you guys got. I know you guys have got in the game. I don't have a prediction at this moment. I just want to watch a really good game. I made an error before because I said something on the podcast. I said I wanted Jalen Hurts to win because he's from Texas, and everyone reminded me that Patrick Mahomes was from Texas. So I couldn't really. Then I was like, damn, I forgot about Patrick. Taking from Texas. So now I don't know who I want to win. I just want a good game by two Texas quarterbacks. So I don't know. I'm going to predict. I probably go KC, but at the end of the day, as long as it's a good game, as long as everyone's enjoying themselves, that's all that matters to me, and that's all I'm going to focus on. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys checking it out. Appreciate you joining the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Hope you guys have had a fantastic time, and always remember, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be, and we'll talk soon.